Alright everybody, welcome back to a brand new video. Today we're reacting and having a discussion about a video from JCGlitchmaster. And the video is titled The FNaF Effect Everyone's Ignoring. So I'm really curious to see what that effect is, because if I were to take a wild guess, it could be potentially that maybe the release, with the might bring in a lot of people, and the game is not optimized yet, so it's a bad thing, potentially. Who knows? Maybe it's like because this insane release is coming out, it'll make it harder to get maybe more more interesting chapters to get in, maybe, right? Because maybe they're it won't be as big as FNaF. I don't know, right? Just taking my wild guess, just to see, you know what I mean? Who knows, right? But let's get into it. I'm curious to see what the topic is about. So let's do it.
Right around the corner, and I don't think there's a more anticipated chapter for Dead by Daylight within and outside the DBD community than this one, and rightly so. It's a chapter people have been asking for years. However, this chapter has a big chance to negatively affect the game, and we're not talking about his power or the perks or the map or anything like that. I think all that's going to be fine. We don't have any information on it, but I can trust that it's probably going to be okay. Well, given the track record, the map's probably going to be, No. I just think that the novelty of Five Nights at Freddy's is going to wear off on this community extremely quickly, and I have quite a lot of evidence to back it up. It's going to be nothing but spring traps and exceptionally long killer queues. There you go. If the why is all you care about, there's your answer. I'm not going to make you sit here through this video.
He actually does make a really valid point, and only because of the fact that when we looked at Kaneki, when he dropped, it was a very similar thing where it was very hard to find matches around that time, because of its release being specifically a killer only. Now, for those of you who are FNaF fans, you can kind of let me know your thoughts on, maybe why as to we didn't get a survivor in the next chapter. My theory is that because there really wasn't a definitive character that was shown on screen that would be able to be a survivor, maybe. I believe in the games, I think you play as certain characters, but you never see their face. So maybe that's why, maybe they felt like they shouldn't do that. And maybe they should keep those characters anonymous in that kind of way, maybe. I'm not sure. This is just kind of going off of just the little bit that I do know. And I do it I've dabbled a little bit in the FNaF lore, in the past. I've watched enough game theory videos back in the day to kind of get a general idea of maybe what to kind of expect to a certain degree. But obviously I do not know who could have really been a survivor if they were to choose a survivor, and I guess they opted to decide we're not going to do that. And they decided to focus on, the main villain that we have here, which is obviously going to be Springtrap, which is pretty exciting. Pretty exciting, I have to say, because we're actually getting Matthew Lillard voice, in Dead by Daylight. It's something. We're just a smidge closer to getting Scream, which we never will, but that's okay. We won't get the license, but we can just pretend. The Scream fans, we can just pretend. That's all we'll do. Anyway, let's hear the rest.
Just to listen to why. Now, this isn't an Amber Turd trial.
Well, rejection, hearsay.
We deal with facts. So let's get into the facts. This is one of the only chapter releases that will bring in new players, because FNaF-centered content creators, specifically on YouTube, are actually advertising this collab. This isn't the subject of this video, but it is important.
Wait a minute.
Are actually
hey, wait a minute. I actually saw this video right here. Yeah, let's go. I'm curious to see these other ones too. I might take a look at them in the future and just kind of see what I think about them.
Advertising this collab. This isn't the subject of this video, but it is important and a perspective you won't hear within this community before, because all the creators are veterans while I'm relatively new. DBD has a big issue where it doesn't really gain any new players because its marketing is so astonishingly bad. Now, it's important to note that when I say the marketing is bad, I'm not talking about things like the cinematics that they do. Those are fantastic, they're extremely well done. It's just that you don't actually see these cinematics unless you play DBD. And even if you do play DBD, I'm willing to bet a fair few of you don't even see the marketing until it's the cutscene that plays when you boot up the game.
That's actually crazy. Like, I thought a lot of people would pay attention to the trailers because they drop on, you know, on Twitter or YouTube or something, or if you're playing on on the PlayStation, specifically PS5, they actually will have like an announcements tab that you can look at different games. And it'll sometimes have a trailer attached to it. It'll give you different updates about different games that you're following on PlayStation. So I would disagree to some extent. Like there's different ways to see these trailers. I wouldn't say that it's only if they load up the game you're gonna see it. You know what I mean? Like, it is a possibility that you're gonna see it in a different way, shape, or form.
It wasn't programmed to harm the crew.
And this is where the marketing is failing, and it's something that nobody talks about because they've been making content for so long on this game that they don't have an outside perspective on it anymore. I joined just after Wesker's release about 2 years ago, so I can see firsthand just how bad the marketing is for this game if you aren't within the Dead by Daylight community. If you're not actively in the DBD community, you simply don't know this game exists. In fact, outside of a variety of YouTubers playing this game back when it released in 2016, I didn't hear or see a single piece of marketing from this game up until Ghostface's Malviolence tome and the PUBG collab, which I only saw because of Steam news and because I played PUBG.
Holy Jesus!
I played primarily shooters like COD, PUBG and Apex. I actively followed the gaming industry, and it took a collab with PUBG for me to know that this even existed. For comparison,
well, I did start playing, I think, because it was given on, I think it was a PS Plus game. So when I played console, so DBD, so those people, you know, which I can only speak from that perspective. I've gotten that game a long time ago. I had played it because of that, obviously, and I've also played it I think before Stranger Things was removed. I vividly remember playing on the map, and then I think I hadn't played it until Ghostface's tome that dropped. I think that's when I finally took the plunge, because I did play a little bit. Just to kind of see if I would like it. Mainly the killer side. I played as a trapper. No perks, obviously. We just had random stuff on. It was rough, you know. It was rough, but I will say I think that's when I took the plunge. But I will say though, that I kind of agree and I kind of don't. I kind of knew the game existed for a long time, and you know, when I did play it with friends of mine, we would kind of schedule it. We're like, all right, Halloween drops, we gotta have the game downloaded, we're gonna play some matches, yada yada. It's a Halloween game, we just hop on only for that, and then we uninstall in the coming days after that, you know what I mean? And then we move on to playing Apex or whatever else. And obviously that has shifted to becoming just a mainstay on this channel, so that's interesting to see.
Warzone, the Battle Royale component for Call of Duty, recently reintroduced Verdansk as a map. Now, I'm willing to bet that most people watching this video knew this happened. That's what good marketing is.
I disagree, by the way, with JC here. I never heard of that map. I've never heard... I don't know what that is, you know what I'm saying? I've played that game before, but I never knew what that map was. You know, so I will disagree to that extent. If you're familiar with shooters and COD specifically, if you're in the shooter space, Call of Duty space, that would be more something that would be marketed to you, right? But I don't participate in that genre anymore. So, and haven't for years. So I wouldn't be well, you know, I did play like Apex in its prime, I guess you could say, but like in terms of like Warzone, Call of Duty, haven't played it in years. So I never even knew what that map was, never heard of it. That is news to me. Okay, so I disagree to some extent when it comes to that. Never played it. So, you know, what I did know about, however, was when they released Ghostface like freaking pack on Halloween, and I never got it because I didn't play the freaking game, and I should have gotten it, and I'm really I'm still upset about it. It's fine. It never re-released.
Dead by Daylight doesn't do this, it's just an echo chamber where the only people who know what's going on with Dead by Daylight are people within Dead by Daylight. If you're wondering just how bad it is, Resident Evil has 2 different chapters in this game. I've played almost every single Resident Evil game from 4 onwards, and the remakes, and I didn't even know this game existed. Now this is important because
I will say one thing. If you're playing Resident Evil, and you're playing mainly single player games, DBD is technically marketed as more of a multiplayer horror experience, like in that type of way as well. So if you are playing a specifically Resident Evil games, you're probably not going to hear about DBD, mainly because Resident Evil themselves don't really market DBD, you know? They tend to kind of stay within, like, at least when I've loaded up Resident Evil, they don't really promote a lot of things, like they, you know, besides their own stuff, you know? And when I played it, I haven't seen it, obviously. I played, you know, the remake. I played, you know, quite a few. Not all of the entries, obviously. I want to get to them. But at least when it comes to the marketing, when it comes with Resident Evil, I wouldn't say that I've seen it for DVD.
because for once, a DLC chapter is going to attract a lot of new players, which is something no other chapter has really done to this extent, simply because FNaF creators on YouTube are well aware of this collab and actively advertising it. Now here's where it starts to get bad. Who remembers about 3 weeks ago when we got the new Tokyo Ghoul chapter?
You're never too young to have a Vietnam flashback.
Now, while Tokyo Ghoul has a lot of fans, none of them really started playing DBD just because of the collab, because of the dog shit marketing. Now, here's the next question I have for you guys. How many times did you play against Kaneki until the nerf when he released? For me, the first 2 weeks of the Kaneki's release, 95% of my matches were Kaneki.
I've never played against Kaneki. So I'd kind of... I never played against Kaneki, so I don't know, but it sounds like it's tough. You can't play against Kaneki if you don't play Survivor.
I played against 3 matches that weren't Kaneki in 2 weeks of playing the game. Every single lobby was the goal.
Please stop coming! I told you not to come, but you keep on coming and my arms are too weak to hold you back!
It was just Ghoul by Daylight, which a lot of people got really bored of really quickly, myself included. I actually like playing against the Ghoul, at least in terms of a raw mechanic standpoint. He's engaging in chase and keeps you on your toes since you can't brain dead AFK Shift W in the open like you can with 90% of the killer roster. The Shift W.
That is the main thing that I have an issue with this game. Shift W in itself can be its own video, because there's just so much wrong with it. And I just don't understand why that's in the game. Like, why is that in the game, I feel like it might be a remnant from old DVD where they were able to sort of, maybe not have bloodlust or something like that. I don't even know, dude. I don't even know, but it's one of the biggest issues with playing the game. And a lot of the time, like, I just try not to engage with it, because, like, it's at that point, like the thing is, though, I try not to engage with it, but it's almost impossible to avoid it, because, like, that last person that you need to get your, pain res, or maybe that person that is on death hook, like, they're just holding freaking forward forever, and it is impossible to catch up unless you have mobility yourself. Like, holy moly, like, it is insane work. And I'm glad that Kaneki was able to shake things up and continues to shake things up, especially when people go against him. We need more killers that hold forward, you know what I mean? And we need to bring other killers back up to that level, or rather bring them up to a point where they can cancel out that whole W nonsense. It's brain dead gameplay. It's not fun to go up against, and arguably is an exploit at this point. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy. Because what counter do you have? You know what I mean? And it's not like you're technically cheating or anything, but you can do this and it just works. So I'm like, this has to be a freaking exploit. Like, there's no way. There's no way this is like real, that this is in the game, dude. But anyway.
Yeah, so fucking book. Oh, good. Just so engaging gameplay here, guys. I can barely contain my excitement. Oh, and the pre-drop. That being said, when every single match for 2 weeks straight is the goal, it got real fucking boring. FNaF is another highly anticipated chapter within this community, much more so than Tokyo Ghoul ever was, so I'm willing to bet the same thing is going to happen, where everyone's going to want to play Springtrap. Every single lobby is going to be Springtrap, but it's worse. I predict it will last much longer than 2 weeks. Remember, there are a lot of new players coming into DBD for this chapter specifically. A lot.
I don't like where this is going.
Which means we are now going to have a chapter more popular than Tokyo Ghoul by a country mile, and new players coming into the game specifically to play the content from this chapter.
The biggest thing that I think is like, crap, like there's no survivor either, so the survivor mains aren't incentivized to fly in there, you know what I mean? And that's tough. I've been seeing a massive boost in survivor players and a lot of like, you know, bully squads and all sorts of like nonsense nowadays, like just because of the new survivor that dropped recently. So I can only imagine, like, we're basically going to have the inverse like Kaneki again, where we're not going to even find matches, and that is going to suck, because like, especially because I want to try out the killer and then, like, you know, get some matches in, man.
If you like variety as a survivor,
honey, you've got a big storm coming.
It is going to be Springtrap every single match.
But wait!
There's more!
Some of you are probably thinking, oh well, I play killer, so I don't care. It's a killer-only chapter, guys.
That's the part that I was talking about this whole time. I'm like, wait a minute, man. I'm like, it's gonna be hard to find matches, man. This is not good, man. This is not good. Oh no.
Oh no.
Oh no, indeed, Pinhead. The queue times for killer right now have still not settled since the Tokyo Ghoul drop.
Okay, well, when was this uploaded? Wait, I'm finding matches instantaneously when I'm playing killer, which is the only time I'm ever on the game, and I only do play killer. When I'm on there, I'm finding matches in like less than like 30 seconds or less. Like, it's insanely quick. Like, I've been literally getting like I've even said earlier, like I've been getting these crazy matches of just like Sable squads, like boil over, like flip flops, you know, no mither squads, freaking gen rushing, like you name it, I'm seeing it all. I'm like, yo, what? Like, I don't know, I'm finding like matches instantly, and I'm not a fan of what I'm finding. All right, like, this is ridiculous.
They are still way longer than the survivor queue times and way longer than they were before Kaneki dropped. So we have a killer-only chapter of the most anticipated collab this game has ever seen, with an unprecedented amount of new players coming into the game wanting to play the new character.
Well, we're boned.
The queue times just to play killer, not Springtrap, just killer, are going to be rivaled only by 2v8, and I worry that this won't be just for a couple of days or weeks. It will be upwards of a month before it begins to settle. So you're either going to be waiting in 15-minute killer queues, or you're going to be playing against Springtrap every single game.
All I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
It took about 2
crazy work, man. But yeah, those are my thoughts on the video currently. If you want to watch the full video, it'll be linked in the description. You can watch the full video. Support JCGlitchmaster. Support me with a like, comment, And subscribe if you want to follow on Twitch to watch me play Killer live. You can do that. Join the Discord so you can discuss everything, you know, the DVD topics and other things in the community. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one.